Apparently, this white tiger decided to hit on the lioness, but she did not appreciate the attentions and responded with a series of powerful blows with clawed paws on the muzzle. The tiger is bigger and more massive, but he had to not just fall behind, but run in panic from an angry cat. And we will show you other cases of unexpectedly fierce resistance in the natural world. Action from the first second. The lion furiously attacked the competitor and grabbed his head. But this was a big mistake. The aggressor underestimated the enemy. Even from a recumbent position, the second lion managed to repel the enemy. He withstood the first attack, was able to dodge the most dangerous blows, and then overwhelmed the aggressor by throwing him over his shoulder. And it looks like a judo move. The lion who started the fight clearly did not expect such knowledge of martial arts from his opponent. Now the aggressor is lying on the ground and trying his best to avoid terrible wounds and fatal blows. The mane protects the lion's throat from bites, but any defense has its own strength limit. A terrible roar is heard throughout the area, while the enraged lions inflict crushing blows on each other and dig their claws and fangs into the opponent's body, head, and limbs. Pay attention to how they combine bites with the use of their hind legs. This is possible only during a fight in the stalls, when both opponents are on their backs or on their sides. Pulling the opponent towards him, the aggressor begins to tear him with the claws of his hind paws. It was the only chance to escape, because the lion, skilled in defense, is already on top, already biting his paw, beating and reaching with his fangs to the throat of the aggressor. The one who started the fight is forced to go on the defensive. But the lion, who managed to defend himself after the first terrible attack, does not want to be left with a broken jaw or without an eye. Therefore, he releases the aggressor. When the lions realize that they will not be able to finish the fight quickly in this position, they jump up and begin to glare at each other and intimidate with growls. How coolly, fiercely, and effectively the lion was able not only to fight back against the aggressor, but also to pile on him deserves your like, doesn't it? A river otter was dozing peacefully on the beach when it was spotted by a jaguar. It is one of the most formidable predators of the New World and has a 4 times more powerful bite than a lion. The jaguar rushes at the otter and squeezes it with its paws, hoping for an easy victory. But an unpleasant surprise awaits him. It seems that the otter is a living liquid. Even trapped by the claws and fangs of the enemy, she reacts instantly, twists, and bites the jaguar right in the nose. This is a sensitive area on the cat's body, its pain point. An otter bite may not be particularly dangerous, but it causes terrible pain. Shocked by such a rebuff, the jaguar releases its prey. And relatives are already rushing to help the otter, so the spotted predator has to retreat. Both lions and hyenas often feed on carrion and look for it at the first opportunity. This is reasonable because such a meal does not need to be procured. It is already ready. And although the quality of the meat is not the best, the predator does not expend energy on its prey, so it wins. But when these lions found a huge carcass for their lunch, they did not take into account whose territory they were really in. This reservoir has already been captured by a hippopotamus, and contacting him wasn't the best idea. Hippos are aggressive territorial animals, which is atypical for herbivores. In general, these are unusual creatures. They feed only on plant food, but have terrible fangs as long as an adult man's arm. Such teeth are needed by hippos not for the sake of hunting, but in order to loosen the soil. But the fangs can also bite the lion's torso without problems because the hippopotamus has such a powerful bite and a huge jaw that the beast is able to sink motorboats. The lions clearly underestimated this beast, or thought that the lack of aggression towards the hippopotamus guaranteed its loyalty. The predators were wrong anyway. A hippopotamus can be provoked not even by an attack, but by the very presence of a predator. A giant weighing about 3 tons attacks a whole group of lions, and the predator simply scatter in different directions. Perhaps they could pose a danger to such an opponent, but the hippopotamus would take 1 lioness at least with him. And the pride does not need these losses, and the lions are retreating. That same night, unsuspecting hyenas approach the carcasses. It is rare when these vicious and cruel predators are pitied. Well, now is just such a case. The hippopotamus seems to appear out of the ground and scatter the hyenas that dared to disturb it. The hippopotamus does not need a carcass that could be gnawed by scavengers here, but he simply does not allow carnivorous animals to feed here on principle. It seems that hyenas deliberately behave as modestly as possible and show the hippo that they are not going to attack it. But the giant does not care. If he decided to leave the predators hungry, then they will not see that food, at least on his territory. The springbuck is one of the fastest animals in the world. The peculiarity of this type of ungulates is the ability to move with sharp and incredibly fast jumps. A springbuck can literally jump over a predator and calmly run on. However, these animals should not have neglected the lions. Although these predators are significantly inferior to them in speed, they are able to coordinate their actions well and hunt in well-coordinated teams, in which some lionesses distract, some attack directly, and the male lion covers his girlfriends. The springbucks allow the lionesses to surround themselves. Ungulates underestimated the agility of the predatory cats. One of them ran against the herd. Those ungulates that were right in front of her were too fast and easily broken away. But the lioness did not attack them, but to those springbucks who were immediately behind. The optimal timing of the attack allowed one of the lionesses to get within striking distance. The ungulate did not expect this, but demonstrated its unique maneuverability. However, the springbuck did not manage to leave. At a key moment, he stumbled and fell right in front of the predator. The herbivore jumped to its feet with lightning speed, but the lioness is too agile to miss such a chance. He easily knocks the victim down and finishes her off. Pay attention to how the lion jumps on the prey, as if he is bragging to the lionesses that he can also jump very high. They didn't seem to appreciate this. What do you think? This bear cub is no longer small at all. He weighs like a young wolf. However, it is still far from reaching its maximum dimensions. Although the teenage bear already walks separately from its mother, explores the world, and even hunts, the female still looks after her offspring. However, the bear cub was alone now and noticed a lynx. In other circumstances, the cat would hide from such a stranger, but the den with kittens is very close. The bear cub does not know who it is dealing with and attacks the lynx, which distracts the insatiable predator to protect its cubs. I mean, this is some real drama, isn't it? Fortunately, the fight between these ferocious beasts looks more comical than cruel. The lynx and the bear exchange powerful blows, roll on the ground, bite each other, and try to strangle each other, but none of them really gets any serious harm done. Even a young teenage bear is 1.5 times more massive than a lynx. His thick layer of subcutaneous fat protects him from the fangs and claws of a cat that cannot effectively squeeze the throat. On the other hand, the bear is still quite inexperienced, and the lynx easily avoids serious hits from his blows even in close combat. The agility of the lynx and the strength of the bear seem to balance each other out. And as a result, the opponents turn out to be absolutely equal. Moreover, although the fight lasted for several minutes, neither the lynx nor the bear has any wounds. It is not known how this clash would have ended if it had lasted any longer. But an angry bear arrived at the sounds of the struggle. A huge female is 10 times more massive than a lynx and can literally drive an opponent into the ground. If she catches him, of course. But the cat breaks out of the bear's embrace with lightning speed and easily hides from less agile opponents. It remains to be hoped that the kittens will also be safe. However, this will be a lesson for the bear cub. Even if the opponent is smaller, this does not mean that it will be easy to cope with him. If not for the mother's help, the lynx could still defeat the enemy, especially since he posed a real threat to her kittens. And how do you think this duel would have ended if it hadn't been for the intervention of the bear? Answer in the comments. We are interested to know your opinion. The polar bear is the largest land predator on the planet. On his hind legs, he will rise to such a height that he will be able to look into the windows of the second floor. With one blow, such a predator is able to break the spine of a reindeer. This hungry bear walks along the icebound shore in search of food. The beast knows about its strength and immediately rushes into battle as soon as it notices potential prey. Polar bears literally take large seals out of the water, attack elephant seals, which weigh more than 1 ton on the social network, swim well, and run fast, despite their huge mass. Do you think the bear victim has no chance, no matter who she is? Probably. The predator also has such a high opinion of himself, but does not really know who he is dealing with. The walrus is a very dangerous animal. If a polar bear weighs a little less than half a ton, but a walrus weighs twice as much, that is more than a ton. In principle, the predator successfully copes with sea elephants, which are even larger and more massive. But here the bear has a serious obstacle on the way to a hearty lunch. Fangs. The huge teeth with which the walrus can split small ice floes are weapons that should not be neglected whatsoever. A very thick layer of subcutaneous fat of the walrus will withstand the first few blows of even an adult bear, and then the fangs of the pinniped will open the predator and pierce its belly. When the bear realized that such a result was waiting for him, he retreated. The walrus repelled the predator's attack and dived under the water. There he also has an advantage in maneuverability due to the streamlined shape of his body. As a result, the predator not only had to retreat, but also run to a more reliable and thick ice. Are you afraid of heights? These animals seem to be completely devoid of such fear. Just look at what small ledges mountain goats and sheep can be absolutely calmly and then even jump between the rocks. Their hooves are well adapted to such conditions, but in addition, it should be noted that the well-developed ability of such animals to keep their balance and remain calm even at the very edge of the abyss. It seems that they have learned to use the movement of the center of gravity with jeweler's precision in order to travel on almost sheer cliffs. And all because they feel safe there. Because even such an intelligent and widespread predator as a wolf is not able to follow them to such remote mountain corners. But the snow leopard is capable of this feat. Due to some features of the structures, scientists could not agree for a long time whether the snow leopard belongs to the group of large cats, that is to panthers, or he is just a big representative of small cats like a cheetah or a cougar, or maybe something in between. Several factors contributed to the confusion. Unlike any other panther, the snow leopard does not know how to growl, but he can purr both when inhaling and when exhaling, like all small cats. In addition, during feeding, he assumes a typical body position for small cats. However, with this, its jaws are more like the jaws of panthers, and snow leopards tear apart prey in the same way as lions or leopards. But recent studies show that the closest relative of the snow leopard is a tiger. They had a common ancestor, and these two species departed from the common branch relatively recently. Therefore, it's probably correct to attribute to the leopard to large cats. Unexpected, right? After all, outwardly the leopard resembles a leopard, only slightly inferior in size. It turns out that the closest relative of the smallest panther is the largest. But the most amazing thing about the snow leopard is not its origin story, but its way of life. This mountaineer panther is the only cat that lives in a cold, harsh climate and climbs almost sheer cliffs. Thanks to the relatively short but very strong and muscular paws, the leopard keeps the center of gravity low enough. And this is the key to the stability of any body. Large paw pads, powerfully curved and sharp claws allow you to climb very steep ledges. As a balancer, the leopard uses its fluffy tail, which is almost as long as the whole body. By the way, the tail of the leopard also hides as a blanket during snowstorms and sleep. Cute, isn't it? But don't let this beautiful silver fur coat and big eyes deceive you. In front of you is a formidable and very dangerous predator. A snow leopard can defeat prey 3 times larger than itself. At the same time, it is the ungulates that makes up the majority of his menu. A common tactic for a snow leopard is to sneak up on the victim and attack her so quickly that she gets confused and does not have time to run away too far. The leopard runs to the victim and he leaps and bounds. Each such jump is longer than the leopard's own body. If the predator attacks from above, it just jumps between the rocks and can overcome more than 15 feet, 5 meters, in one jump to a lower ledge. And all of this is at a great height, where any slightest mistake threatens to fall into the abyss. But the mountain ungulates have learned to react with lightning speed to such rapid attacks. They have quite an original tactics. The ungulate purposely runs away to the most dangerous place where it will not be possible to quickly reach by running or jumping. The calculation of the herbivore is simple. In order to catch and to overwhelm it on such a narrow ledge, the predator will have to accelerate and fall. A wolf or a bear would definitely stop and retreat because they don't want to risk being smashed against sharp rocks. With them, this tactic works almost 100%. However, the snow leopard should not have been underestimated. These ungulates have contacted the wrong enemy, which can be frightened by a great height. When the leopard realizes that he will fall, it does not stop him and does not even make him slow down. The predatory cat is so brave and confident in her abilities that she uses her own fall as a weapon. It accelerates even more and falls on the ungulate. After that, both animals can collapse down. A lot of somersaults, constant blows against sharp stones, their fragments, a complete loss of balance, a fall that only gets faster with every second. This hunt looks impressive and at the same time frightening. It seems that the snow leopard screwed up here. But all these somersaults or terrible falls are part of his plan. Thanks to the incredible feline agility and reaction speed, he manages not only to remain unharmed after such terrible blows, but even to continue to fight with the victim. The leopard acts so fast that its movements are difficult to see. But in fact, during the dizzying fall, the snow leopard either further strangles the victim or throws her off balance so that she falls to the next ledge as traumatically as possible. The predator's goal is simple. He knows that the horned beast accustomed to mountaineering can fall from the height of the second floor and remain unharmed, but only if he lands correctly. The cat, at the right time, strikes precisely calculated blows in such a way that the ungulate, instead of a heavy but safe landing, falls head first onto a stone, injures the spine, or fractures limbs. And at the same time, the leopard avoids terrible injuries herself. This predator has turned falling from a mountain into an art in tactics of hunting and gravity into its unpredictable and dangerous but loyal ally. And indeed, after such a fall, the snow leopard immediately jumps onto its paws to finish off the wounded ungulate. And it can't get up anymore. It was not necessary to underestimate the courage and agility of this cat, which can even turn its defeat into victory. This hyena has obviously never dealt with donkeys before, so she decided that in front of her was some kind of dwarf, defective zebra without stripes at all, so it can be easily handled and eaten. Big mistake. We know that donkeys have a stubborn character, but now we will also see what cool fighters they can be. The donkey did not waste any time either on panicked attempts to escape or on intimidating the enemy. He also did not try to drive away the dangerous hyena. On the contrary, as soon as the predator began to show aggression, the donkey immediately grabbed him with his teeth to teach the most painful lesson in the life of this hyena. The taller predator, without any problems, lifted the hyena and began dragging it by the scruff from side to side. The methodical cruelty of the donkey should once and for all inspire the brazen and cruel predatory creature that it is better not to bully with some ungulates ever. The hyena in the teeth of the enemy is completely helpless. The paws flail around, but they cannot offer any resistance, and the grip of the jaws is so powerful that the hyena is not even able to turn its head, and there is no question of escaping. Didn't expect such incredible strength from a donkey? Really, you should have. The donkey's teeth are not sharp, but large and flat. And this is all because, unlike some other herbivores, the donkey, like the horse, does not cut the grass during grazing, but sort of grinds it. This allows you to feed on very tough vegetation and thorny shrubs that grow in semi-deserts. But only an animal with very strong jaws can use such teeth effectively. Thanks to the developed musculature of this part of the body, a donkey bite is almost like an industrial vice. coupled with incredible endurance and a brave, tough disposition. This allows the donkey to fight back not only the hyena, but also predators comparable to it, provided one-on-one combat. Ordinary domestic cats can be no less formidable than their distant wild relatives, the panthers. In search of food, this bear comes to a human habitation. The owners of the house were not there, but the bear did not take into account that there was a cat. The bear clearly underestimated the furry guard when it invaded its territory. But the cat seems happy just to flex its muscles. Look with what fury the kid, who weighs 10 times less than one paw of a bear, goes into battle against its giant. The bear is shocked. He did not expect such a rebuff. It's as if James Cameron, with his blue aliens, of his going on the attack against tanks with spears and bows. Stop. Wait, I guess he did. That's whose courage the director was inspired by. This puts everything in its place. James, if you're watching this story, let us know. This is far from the only and not unique case when cats drove bears and other large predators from their territory. At the same time, the cat acts in an atypically straightforward manner. He seems to show that he is ready to go to the end and attacks head-on. Probably, such bravery confuses the enemies, scares them, and forces them to retreat. Besides, no one wants to feel the claws of a cat on their muzzle, not even a bear. Although the advantage in strength is not in doubt, cats are incredibly fast and are able to hit the enemy's eyes before he has time to react. Would you like to have such a fluffy watchman who can drive a bear away alone? If you already have such a pet like this, then let us know in the comments, maybe some sort of a story about his bravery. We would be really happy to read about it.